Welcome into Rover Sports, the show. It is Wednesday night, and we are so happy to be here. We are getting into the best time of the year to do our show.
It's still Tuesday night. It's the second time in a row.
Well, you know what?
It's still Tuesday.
Hey, you're ruining my intro. Let me go back.
Should
Should we restart the show? No, here we go.
go.
Welcome into Rover Sport. It is now Tuesday night. We'll cut that at the beginning. So welcome into the show. It's Tuesday night, and we have a very special guest here, John. John is our tennis coach, but he also is a college football, big NFL fan. John, how are you tonight, man?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, it's great. It's great having you. And you went to Clemson University. You're a huge college football fan, and you grew up in Philadelphia, right? So you are one of the biggest Eagle fans here. We also have Bruce the Sports Doc checking in right to my right. How are you, Bruce?
Doing great. It's a beautiful, like you would say,
Wednesday.
It's the best time of year.
Wednesday night.
It's a beautiful Wednesday night if you are in Tokyo, Japan. But if you're back here on East Coast time, it's still Tuesday night. A lot to talk about in the NFL. Little bit of Phillies, a little bit of venting. And, of course, we've got Alan Zafiri. Big Al, we're here in RDR Studios in Ridley with a beautiful green screen and great technology. Every week we get better and better with our technology.
Yeah.
How you doing tonight, Al?
Awesome on this awesome/Tuesday, Wednesday night.
Yeah, and it's a very exciting time with the NFL. And, you know, last night, since it is actually Tuesday, there was a Monday Night Football game that was on last night. John, how much preseason have you watched?
I'll be honest with you. I've been watching highlights. I've been watching training camp highlights. I've been watching many of the games just because, if you want to see the backups, if you want to see, guys you knew from college, then you'll tune in for a little bit. They're the backups trying to earn a roster spot, but that's about it.
But do you think, because I'm kind of with you now, because I liked preseason, a little bit a couple years ago, but I think now of how vanilla the NFL is, and they won't even the Eagles won't even allow open training camp anymore because they're so paranoid of teams with technology stealing their plays. The Eagles used to have it at Lehigh. And now I just think with preseason, and Bruce, you heard Kyler Murray talk about the preseason, and his quotes were very damning on preseason football. It was really an interesting soundbite in an interview, and why don't you share with the listeners what Kyler Murray was talking about when he talked about preseason football?
Well, Kyler Murray played, he, much like Garoppolo, who had exactly 0 yards and a 0 quarterback rating, he was, I thought, really well poised. And basically said it doesn't mean anything. He said it's actually frustrating because we're so vanilla. We're not even allowed to react to the defenses. And they said, how did you feel about getting a safety? And he said, I'm pretty sure I got to the 1 yard line, but I don't even care. So he just said, I don't care. And I think it's the sentiment around the league. And certainly Doug Peterson has seen a lot of injuries. And even the other day, one of the coaches actually apologized for playing a guy.
Adam Gase, I think.
Adam Gase
Avery Williamson
apologized because Williamson was lost for the year. And it just seems like the rolling ball of momentum is why play anybody except maybe third and fourth stringers. And going to the game, I've been an Eagles season ticket holder for a long time. And going to the last preseason game was exceptionally boring. The only thing nice is if you go out on a summer night, you're out with some friends, you have some beers or something. It's almost like going to a Phillies game when they're up like 10-0 or so. The game itself is really irrelevant.
Well, the game is boring, but there's also no juice in the stadium.
There's no juice.
Juiceless.
No energy.
No energy at all.
It's absolutely juiceless.
No. And the fact is about preseason is the things that, like, if a team does well in preseason, the other defense isn't scheming you anyway.
No.
So it's maybe only exciting for, like, Daniel Jones, who's a Giants quarterback who's not going to be playing, Dwayne Haskins, who's in a if there's a quarterback battle where you don't have a guy and you're that franchise, it's good. But welcome into Rover Sports. We have a caller calling in, and how are you tonight?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're
good.
We're doing great. What is your name? And what do you?
My name is Nicholas.
Oh, Nick, it's good. It's good to hear from you. So what's going on, Nick?
I just want to talk a little bit about Antonio Brown and Mike Tomlin. and Ben Roethlisberger, if you guys would let me a little bit.
Sure.
That's okay with
AB
you.
is, I think AB is the top of every ESPN comment board. Go right ahead. I detect a Pittsburgh accent. Are you a Steelers fan?
Oh, you better believe it. I'm a diehard Pittsburgh fan.
That's great. So what do you have to say about AB? What's going on with him?
I just want to talk about AB, all this drama, and all the media hype saying, oh, Mike Tomlin, he's not a good coach. He's bad. He doesn't have control of the team. Look at it now. Look at it now. Mike Tomlin has one of the best win-loss percentages in NFL history. Mike Tomlin has a better win-loss percentage than Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher, and he gets so much hate. This is the theme of players now. It has nothing to do with coaching. You can look all around the league. Michael Thomas is holding out. Ezekiel Elliott's holding out. Dak Prescott wants $40 million. Who's the running? Melvin Gordon's holding out for the Chargers. It has nothing to do with coaches. Everybody has their own platform. Everybody wants to be an individual. Nobody's about the team anymore. And that's what Pittsburgh football is all about. The team, the logo, the city, blue-collar work. That's why, everybody loved Antonio Brown. He was a 6th-round draft pick, worked his way up. He was a fringe guy in the preseason. Nobody thought he was going to make the team. He performed in the preseason. He made the team and worked his way up to be one of the greatest players, in the NFL. But, he's crazy. The dude's bipolar. The dude, he got arrested for throwing stuff out the window. He almost hit a baby with throwing stuff out of his apartment because he's fighting with his girlfriend or whatever. And it just makes me sick that all this media hate coming down on Steelers Nation. They thought we was crazy for getting rid of Antonio Brown. And look at Juju. Look at Connor. 2 Pro Bowl players. So that's just my take on all this.
Sure.
And
a lot of people, at least here at the Rovers, think that now that Le'Veon Bell is gone and AB is gone, that your team will be able to settle in and be more of a team. I'm personally thumbs up on the Steelers this year. Roethlisberger is ageless, just like Drew Brees. Certainly you have to respect him, and I think those guys were incredible distractions last year. I'm sure you being a Steelers fan, that had to really drive you nuts with Le'Veon. The rumor he's coming back every week. He's coming back, and that was a huge distraction last year.
Oh, yeah. It was ridiculous. I mean, it's one thing you want more money, okay? He wanted more money, whatever. I understand that. But to sit there and put your teammates in that position week in and week out, playing games with the media, telling them this, telling them that, if you're holding out, you should have just been a man and said, hey, I'm holding out. But he tweeted out before the season even started, Steelers Nation, I'm going to be back. I love you, Steelers Nation. I'm going to be back. And then he's going on Twitter during games, like we was losing that Tampa Bay game. He puts like a little magnifying glass emoji on his Twitter. Like, it's just all about attention. It's all about me.
Yeah.
It's all about the team.
Yeah. Well, Nick, this is where I am going to kind of debate you, you talked about Mike Tomlin, so I'm going to provide my opinion on Tomlin. I really think that Tomlin's done a poor job because no matter what Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell do, this falls on the head coach. And Mike Tomlin should have cut Le'Veon. He should have released Bell or traded him a long time ago. He needed to be way tougher on these guys. He was too soft, and he let them run the team. He let Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell run and ruin the Steelers the past few years. And guess who that lies upon? Not the players, but Mike Tomlin. And I view Tomlin in a poor light for the last few years, and that's why Tomlin better get his stuff together or he's going to be fired. He hasn't won a Super Bowl in a long time. Every year he gets to the Patriots, Belichick destroys him. I don't view Tomlin like you do. I'm worried about his long-term trajectory in Pittsburgh, and I've been disappointed personally, Nick, with how he's handled this situation.
I mean, that's a fair take, but Tomlin, he just got a new contract, so I'm not with getting rid of Tomlin. And the year we lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I mean, yeah, you're right. Tomlin put Le'Veon Bell in the position to succeed, to make him a star. Tomlin gave him the ball 30-plus times a game and put him in a position to be a star. You can't predict that this guy's going to sell out. We offered Le'Veon Bell $14.5 million to come on the team, and he still held out. And he got less with the Jets than what the Steelers offered him. The running back market, he was asking for like $17 million a year. I mean, we offered him $14.5 million a year, which is basically almost double than what the next highest paid running back in the league was getting until Todd Gurley got his deal for like $15 million a year. So, I mean, Tomlin, he put his players in positions to succeed, and the guy sold out on his team, sold out on his city, and sold out on the team to put him in the position to be the star that he is. That's my opinion. I mean, I respect your opinion. Maybe he could have handled it better, but at the end of the day, it's not his decision, to release these guys. I kind of blame Kevin Colbert, the general manager, more than anybody, because they should have, like you said, I agree, they should have just cut that drama at the beginning of the season. But all the reports are coming out that he was going to come back, not going to come back, but, he didn't. And we was going to try to get trade value because we released what we did to put Le'Veon Bell in that situation. We released him. We released for Garrett Blunt so Le'Veon Bell could get that, get all that money. What Garrett Blunt was saying, I wanted more snaps, I want more carries. We released him, and we lost to the Patriots, but Le'Veon Bell was hurt in that Patriots game. And we did not have a backup running back. We released LeGarrette Blunt, who went to the Philadelphia Eagles and won a Super Bowl.
Nick, you make some good points, and I agree with you a little bit. And Spence, kind of like right in the middle between you guys a little bit. I agree that Tomlin, he lost, I would say, the locker room. He had three major big personalities, because I think there's one that people tend to forget is Ben Roethlisberger in this situation. And I think that's a personality confliction between Ben, between AB, and Le'Veon. The whole group, I think there was a big disconnect across the board, and I believe that's where Tomlin made a lot of mistakes, and he didn't nip it in the bud right away, for lack of better words. I think that the Steelers altogether, and once again, I want to thank you for the call, the Steelers altogether are going to be a better team because of it, even though they lost two quote-unquote superstars.
Yeah, because one of your main things as a coach is you have to manage personalities. After a while, it's a major thing. You're not in. It's not like college where you have to. You're in charge. It's a lot of times these guys coming in, multi-million-dollar deals, and as a coach, you got to manage these guys and bring them together.
And the other big part, if you think about it, is unlike the NBA. The NBA, you can be a me kind of guy and get away with it.
Correct.
You can have one or two guys who are it's all about me and get away with it.
Totally.
LeBron James. The NFL does not work that way.
No.
You can't be a me kind of guy and get away with it. We always go back to the 2017 Eagles, how they were just a core group. I mean, even I heard a lot of the same things about the Giants when they made their run going in as a wild card. I mean, you saw it happen, and if you're gonna have too many mean guys, even if they are the best of the best, there's times you have to cut and run and get what you get for it. You saw the Giants do it with
Odell Beckham.
Odell, yeah.
And guess what? Michael Bennett was not even a perfect guy, and he was talented. But Michael Bennett had some issues, with cops in Vegas. He had the Houston thing. Very outspoken guy. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but for the Eagles that still need some maturing, that are going through a transition, it might have been better to let go of like a Michael Bennett with that situation. So that's why I really like the sport of football, because in basketball, LeBron James, remember he had Jordan Clarkson, and remember he had Larry Nance and these hodgepodge of guys, and remember he had David Blatt. He hated David Blatt, but LeBron is so much better than everybody. He's probably the first or second greatest player ever in basketball, and it didn't even matter how Cleveland constructed a team because he beat the Celtics that were a great young team just by himself. That's why I love the sport of football, because it's more complicated with the personas and the egos.
And I guess one point is going to that, we saw that preseason game. Andre Dillard played great in the first game. He missed one block on a guy, and Cody Kessler got creamed, and he got concussed. And think about his career. It wasn't his fault. That was a complete blindside hit. And now they picked up McCown, and it seems that obviously Kessler's going to be looking for a job again. So
it just shows you. See him making the team.
I'm saying there's one. I'm just saying one missed block.
Oh yeah.
In this game, one missed block or a tackle. If somebody doesn't do their job, somebody could get killed.
That game is one of the trenches.
And that's different in basketball, where you miss an assignment, guy comes down and dunks over the whole team. You might watch it, but nobody's getting hurt.
Yeah.
But football really is a physical game, and you need everybody to buy in on it. And you're only as good as your weakest link, especially with the lines, right?
Yeah, O-line, D-line, we all know. O-lineman, I'm going to tell you right there.
Build the lines.
The most unnamed superstars is your O-line. And
Yeah.
I played blindside tackle for when I played in grade school and into high school and into college. Like I played there. I get it. And
You're a player.
My quarterback.
It's good to have a player on the panel.
But I mean, the quarterback, that's your best friend. They'll tell you that your O linemen are your best friend. I mean, we saw when the Dallas when Tony Romo was still playing, they made the playoffs. He went out. Tony Romo went out and bought like expensive sneakers, and then I think
every quarterback does that. Yeah, it does what Tony.
They
was
always
doing.
buy him steaks at minimum, and then of course Carson Wentz is from North Dakota, so he bought them all guns, not realizing that might not always be politically
correct.
correct.
Injure their leg? Oh come on, guns are a part of America. I understand what you're saying, though, Bruce.
They understand the need for them, and that listen up until recently. O linemen especially were well underpaid. I mean, I think you're starting to see the shift in the NFL, especially. The running back was always highly paid, but that's changing for most parts. Yeah. And the O line, you can see but they also get more longevity too.
Yeah,
that's what you see.
I mean, Eagles Super Bowl run. I mean, yes, Nick Foles was the MVP, but if you notice how good the Eagles O line was. It was outstanding.
Yeah, Jason Kelce was amazing.
Amazing.
Brandon Brooks, Lane, and Peters are the best tackles, and that's why the Eagles are consistent.
That was the last time we said anything good about Vitae. Was that Super Bowl? The last time. Since then, he's just hasn't been able to find.
He showed up to play at the right time.
And I think he's going to be gone.
The NFL is kind of interesting.
There are trade rumors about Vitae. I think you hear a lot of them.
It was kind of mixed into the Clowney one, which I just don't see that happening.
That was mixed into the Clowney. I don't see them getting Clowney. They don't have the cap space. I don't think he's a personality that would blend well with them. He also misses a lot of time. Clowney just gets hurt a lot of nagging injuries, right?
And effort. A lot of times where he's on, and a lot of times he'll just shut down for a bit.
I look at the NFL, though, and unfortunate. I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but I feel that the NFL, the way it's catered now, is more like a soft finesse game. Like you look at the Chiefs, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Kelsey. You just if you have a great quarterback that can throw it like Mahomes, the trenches is almost a lost art sometimes. Because it's so, because you could throw a ball 50 yards, and now you can literally challenge a pass interference and get like an automatic 50 yards. So John, do you think the NFL, how would you describe it? Do you think it's more of a passing league? Is it very finesse to you? Or do you still think teams that can run the ball could still be effective in this NFL?
I mean, like the Eagles proved it. I mean, with their three-headed monster, I think there's still room for running backs. There's still room for that. But, of course, yes, we like the, long, deep passes. And, of course, yes, it's a passing league. But, again, running game is effective because if you can't run, then teams know how to shut you down still.
Here's an interesting comment from Tom Floyd, one of my high school classmates. He's in the Dallas area, and he said that on Dallas Sports Radio, all the Dallas fans do not want to pay Prescott and not want to pay Zeke. So going around the table, are they going to pay Prescott and Zeke? Certainly, Jerry Jones is thumbing his nose by saying Zeke who. Al, what are your thoughts? Are they going to end up caving? What do you think?
I would initially thought they would have now, but I mean, unless Jerry Jones is playing it super cool, I don't see it happening. And it's kind of turning into what Pittsburgh was like a year, 2 years ago, where you got guys who are all biting. You got your three top guys. You got your quarterback, your premier running back, and your premier wide receiver.
And your Amari Cooper that you thought was – so you got all three vying for big salaries, and they're playing kind of a game of chicken, a Russian roulette.
Well, and here's my thing is, I don't think they want to pay Zeke because I know they still have a couple years on him. We all know how the running back payment thing is. The longevity of a running back is not what it used to be. We just talked about that a few minutes ago.
Actually, it's not good at all.
Not good
Look
at
at
all.
Sean Alexander. He was covering Madden, and then he's at Dunkin' Donuts the next year, essentially.
And here's my thing with
running
Dak.
backs are gone in a year.
They don't want to pay Dak because they know that Dak isn't worth what Dak. The market's setting Dak's price. It's not Dak's abilities or Dak's play that's setting his price. And I know I've seen all these graphics all over Facebook and other Instagram.
You're seeing Wentz versus Dak.
Yeah,
because
wins and
Wentz
losses.
was hurt, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if
Wins
Wentz
and
wasn't
losses.
wins and losses and everything. Listen, he has been better for them than Tony Romo was for the last couple of years. But he's still he is what we thought he was. He's a 4th-round pick at best, I think he was.
Yeah, well, he's one of the best 4th-round picks, though, at that position.
Yes, maybe. But my point...
There are not many at that position.
Yeah.
Right. That's the point you're making.
Right.
My point is that it's just... They're stuck with him. They can't... They didn't draft a quarterback. They have there's nobody out there that they could go pay a boatload of money to bring in to take his position. So it's they're stuck with what they have in the markets where it's at. And I mean, Zeke's holding out, but we haven't seen that from Dak at all. And I think Dak knows that he really can't hold out.
Well, I look at Prescott, and I think Prescott is the one to blame for this whole fiasco, because the thing I respect about Tom Brady is he took a pay cut. When you're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team. You know, we talked about how Dak was a 4th-round pick. He grew up in Louisiana. When you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, it's the greatest position in all of sports and all of American sports. It's like the shortstop for the New York
Unless
Yankees.
you live in Philly.
So when you're the quarterback of
It's the
the
worst
Dallas
position.
Cowboys, when you're the quarterback of the Cowboys, America's team, and you're living out your dream, and you get paid, and you get an offer of $30 million, and you don't take that deal, it's such a selfish move by Dak Prescott, because if he would take the $30 million, it would allow then Amari and Zeke, it would allow the Cowboys to move forward. But by him being selfish, talking about 34, 35, he's competing with all the other quarterbacks. He's not thinking about the team. Dak Prescott is really the one to blame. He's really being selfish here and not looking out for the franchise of the Cowboys, but only his personal interest. And it's kind of it's disgusting what Dak Prescott is doing.
Well, I guess the question
That's
is,
my argument.
Here's an interesting question. Did Prescott himself say that? It was his agent?
Well, he's not
Was that
taking the
leaked out?
$30 million.
No, I get it. But in other words, to me, a lot has to do with whether he comes out, holds a press conference, whether his guys behind the scenes leak out the number. I mean, the way
that's
the
from
way
his people.
the
That's
way
by
it's
far
the
from
way
his
it's
people.
portrayed.
But he's controlling his people. He could sign the deal at any time.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you're
and
saying he should take.
He could schedule a press
So you're
conference
coming out and
anytime.
saying that if he takes the $30 million, that they're going to be able to roll and sign
And
Zeke,
that's
have
even
enough money for
the
Zeke.
$30 million's even a good deal for Prescott. It's even better
think so.
it's better than market value, because we talked about
still
market
think-
value.
I still think Zeke is worth more to them in the short run. Dak's worth more to them in the long run because of the longevity of a quarterback versus a running back. But I still don't think he's. I mean, the problem is they haven't drafted to take anybody, so they are stuck with him for at least the foreseeable
Let's talk
future.
about the differences between Dak and Wentz, and what? Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I mean, at the same time, remember, a lot of these players want to get paid because, again, this is known as a not-for-long league. Mm-hmm. So you don't know for tomorrow, bad play, linebacker comes through, knocks Dak Prescott out, broken leg, who knows? You know, this is not-for-long league. So these guys, back of their minds, they probably know that this is a not-for-long league. You don't
and that's
know.
why they get hung up on who's their backup quarterback.
And that's why they want to get paid probably as much as they can, because they want to make sure they're secure, and whoever else, you know, whoever entourage and family, who knows.
So for Prescott, for him to because I look at Prescott and he doesn't have the arm and the ability of Wentz. Wentz throws it 15 yards further. Wentz is faster than Prescott. Wentz had that MVP year. I know Dak had a good rookie year, but Wentz, just his ceiling, he's proved that he could be he was the MVP that year before he got hurt.
Oh, yeah.
He essentially led the
Could
Eagles.
have been with being hurt.
I believe, too, that if Wentz played against the Falcons, Foles didn't play well in that game. Wentz probably would have won that game. He probably would have won the Super Bowl if he stayed healthy that year. So that's why Wentz is better than Prescott on the open market. And Dak is like a little bit of a better game manager. So the only way Dak can get more leverage is if he wins the Super Bowl this year. And he's taking a big chance on himself winning a Super Bowl.
Maybe not winning the Super Bowl, but
that's the only way he could get paid more by the Cowboys.
That's or a deep run for them.
But here's my thing is, what do you... All right, last year, Doc, you tell me, what do you give more success for the Dallas Cowboys? Was it Dak? Was it Zeke? Was it the offense in general, or was it their defense? Like, how would you put it in order there?
Well, I would put Zeke. I think he is the biggest force. So I say Zeke was the anchor of their team whenever they needed a first down. I thought that Dak was adequate last year. 2 years ago, he was less than adequate. So I would probably say the offensive line who's not on the list, but the offensive line and Zeke are very, very important. And if Zeke isn't on that team, as an Eagles fan, I'm not afraid of the Cowboys.
But guess
Bring
what?
them on, you know, because they become one-dimensional. And if you pin back your ears and you go after Prescott, I see even. I see the Giants overtaking them.
Well, I disagree with you about Ezekiel Elliott because I still think that their offensive line, they have Zach Martin, they have that guy Tyron Smith, who's a really good linebacker, they have Lyle Collins. Running backs.
Van Der Esch.
They have a very good team. They're a defensive team. They drafted a running back, Tony Pollard, out of Memphis. And fifth-round running backs can be really, really good. Look at the Chiefs. When Kareem Hunt left that team, they didn't miss him at all. Look at Corey Clement. He's a seventh-round pick, and he's catching Super Bowl touchdown passes.
Undrafted.
That's the point. That's the point. And Ezekiel Elliott, one more point. Ezekiel Elliott, is he a saint off the field? No. Ohio State situation, grabbing boobies at Mardi Gras. The guy's a loose cannon. He's in Mexico. Do you really want to sign that guy for 4 more years? No.
Doesn't matter. He's an NFL player. He's not a saint. He's not trying to go for priesthood.
He's risky.
But I think Doc's
risky.
right. I think Doc's right for one thing. In the case of the current Dallas Cowboys, Zeke is important. Normally, I will agree with you that the running back isn't the biggest important. There's like a sweet spot for the running back. Like take the Eagles last year. We had no running back. We had Josh Adams as our number one running back. That tells you something. Still, we're able to make a run.
We're still one play away from beating the Saints.
Yes.
So it shows you it is a passing league.
But in the case of the Dallas Cowboys,
they're built around the running game.
They're really built around it.
I still think that you can find good running backs.
Yeah. I'm not saying they can't replace him. I'm not saying that at all.
He'd maybe be a good trade asset for the Cowboys.
I think he'd be a great
point.
trade asset.
Well, like to your point, I glimpsed that Los Angeles Rams Cowboys preseason game, and yes, to your point, that fourth-round running back. One of the announcers was saying, if he keeps playing like this, they may not need Zeke. He was saying that in a joking manner, but at the same time. Back of your head, you got to think about it. You're like, wait.
To Pittsburgh Steelers, look at Le'Veon Bell. Here comes Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah,
he's out. Connor steps in.
You beat me to it.
I'm not going to say he's exactly like Le'Veon Bell, but he wasn't too far off the way he played.
And it's just a running game. It's all about the line, like how the line can push the team. Yeah. And without quarterbacks are harder to find because if you select a quarterback and the quarterback is not very good, like even a Jake Locker, you could go back to like a Gabbert. The franchise is kind of screwed.
There's no Blaine Gabbert here.
So Prescott is all right. Maybe they can get like a great young quarterback in the draft. Like I look at Herbert and Tua, but you're really rolling the dice if you don't get that quarterback.
But if they need one, they'll have to trade big for one of those. Depends. Because a guy like, say, if Trevor Lawrence decides to come out, let's say.
Yeah.
Then they'll have to trade big for him. Or the guy from Oregon.
Yeah. It's a risk. Prescott isn't the best quarterback. I mean, I like how clutch he is. I think off the field, he's everything Zeke isn't. He's a great guy.
Do you want me to solve Dallas's problem right now?
You're going to solve it?
I'm going to solve it right
now.
What,
have Jerry Jones solve the team?
I'm going to help him. No. That'll solve my Dallas problem.
You pay Dak Prescott.
No. You sign Amari. You trade Zeke. And then use him to get a quarterback to replace Dak. Because you have 2 trade pieces. You can get rid of Dak. You can get rid of Zeke. Get a nice trade piece.
So now you set up the panel. Now we have to bring this out to the panel.
Yeah.
So here it is. What? And you're going to go last here. What quarterback? What team is trading what quarterback for Zeke? Spence, you have a pretty good overview. Is that possible? Would anybody do that?
I think I'm looking at a team, and I think you'd have to trade him mid-season. I think the best value you can get on a quarterback that you could trade for this quarterback. You pay this quarterback about $22 million, and then you can also draft a rookie quarterback. I think Marcus Mariota and the Titans would be a great trading piece for Zeke Elliott. I think that's the most realistic quarterback. You look at Mariota and Dak. You pay Mariota a lot less.
They have
If the
Tannehill.
Titans
They have
have it,
Tannehill on still on.
if the
Titans.
if the Titans
Tannehill actually looked good.
No,
well,
if
remember that's a preseason
But
game.
yeah.
But if
The
the
Tannehill, he actually looked good in that
if the
first half.
Titans have like a bad year, I'm trying to think of what quarterback is out there in the NFL though that's not that's like an okay starter. You think Jameis Winston would you trade for?
Nah.
No.
You
no,
talk
no.
about
You
a
wouldn't
problem
trade-
off field.
You wouldn't
was
trade.
Zach- was
I'll
Zeke
tell you what
Elliott.
team you wouldn't trade for: the Dolphins. You gonna
Rosen.
trade for them? Would you unload Rosen? In other words, do you think Dallas
If I
would
was the
take Rosen?
Dolphins, I would trade for maybe Zeke.
But
and
the point is, would Dallas take Rosen and let Zeke go? That's an interesting
No.
question.
I think-
No,
not.
I would say no.
I think not. There'd be a
Dak is
mutiny.
just as good
I would
as
That would be a
say-
mutiny. Wouldn't there be a
Well,
mutiny
here's
in
my
Dallas?
big time.
No, it's hard to
Well,
it's hard to
here's
find
my
that
realistic
quarterback.
thing.
That
This is my-
quarterback is not a. It's
Well,
not easy.
let me ask you this
It's not
realistic
easy.
question then, Spence. We all know this upcoming NFL draft is going to be very quarterback heavy. There's a lot of
Got Tua. But is Trevor Lawrence eligible
He's
to
not
come out?
eligible.
He's
He
not
has-
eligible to come out. He's going to be probably the best.
You have
Yeah.
Herbert and Tua, and then you're going to have another wild card
Looks
come
like we
into
got a
the
call
frame.
here.
Maybe it's Bowles. Talk.
We got a call.
Caller?
Who's calling?
Say hello. Say hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Charlie.
Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
How is
Charlie
everyone?
Bowles, the
Wonderful
Rover.
show as usual.
So what are we
Charlie.
talking about tonight, my brother?
Oh, I had to chime in on Ezekiel Elliott. I just have to give my, I can't leave well enough alone.
You have to chime in. Come on.
Give my
That
terrible
means we're
opinion.
doing our job right. We're getting you amped up.
Number one, running backs may not be important overall, but to look at Prescott's stats with Elliott and look at them without Elliott, they're not even close. He makes that offense revolves around Ezekiel Elliott. Number two, why trade Elliott for a quarterback when you can easily get a first-round pick for him that turns into a top pick
Well,
and
Charlie,
get a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota?
Charlie, I agree with you. I was actually kidding around more. My actual real thing was going to
Yeah.
say is, do you ride the? Listen, you still have Dak on his current
His rookie deal?
His rookie deal. You still have Zeke on his deal. I mean, do you just ride this season out, see where you can get with them, and then trade them at the end of the year and go for high, for a lot of draft picks and build around there? That would be a more serious idea.
Well, I think Jerry Jones is an owner that really loves his players, and I think that no matter what, Elliott will be there week one. I know that Dallas holds all the leverage, but I don't think Jerry Jones is going to exercise that leverage. If he wanted to, he could sit on him for the next 4 years, and Jerry Jones holds all the leverage in this case. I think that he'll make a deal, and I think Elliott will be there. So look, remember. Dallas. Look at Dallas's linebacking corps. I look at the way they've drafted D-backs. I mean, Dallas is not that far away from being a really good team. I think Jones is one of those owners who is more like a fan, and he's an intelligent fan who kind of realizes that his window may be very short. And I don't think Prescott is very attractive to him without Ezekiel Elliott. So if there ever was a problem with, I believe they're both going to be here. They're both not going to be here. I think with Elliott, Prescott is probably a top 14 quarterback. I think without him, he's probably in the range from 14 to 21. So, in that kind of difference, I think could be the difference between winning a playoff game and not winning a playoff game at some point. I mean, how do you not love Dallas? They just locked Jalen Smith up today. Their linebackers are just fantastic. I think, and I'm not a Dallas fan per se, but I just think that they are not as far away as people think. And I think that Jones realizes that he's getting older. He wants to see the glory days return. And I think that no matter what, you will see, he will find a way to get Elliott there day one.
So what do you think, Charlie? This is Charlie Bowles calling from Rover Sports, of course. He's how's your dog's doing? Okay now?
I am actually outside with him as we speak. Well, he's not doing okay. He's surviving. He's still living, and he's still not in excruciating pain. He's having a rough day today, but
well, we
he's
wish
still
all the
surviving.
best.
Thank you.
There's no better
We're-
dad.
I'm-
We all give him prayers. He's a great dog, and Charlie is a wonderful dad to the dog. And so, what about Amari Cooper? He's the third guy, the third wheel. Do they have to do they have to act on Amari's contract? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, look at the Dallas's offense overall. Again, I don't have any. I'm outside, not privy to the exact numbers, but
Look at the offense, I believe, after Cooper came in. I think they were down, and after they were below 15, maybe at 16, 17, 18 overall, and then they shot up to, like, I think number 11 or number 12 overall. Or maybe that was, yeah, I know they shot up 5 or 6 spots in the time that Cooper came in. So, again, Cooper obviously was an upgrade. And I don't think, again, like, Cooper seemed to have a rebirth in Dallas, because he was kind of, remember, he kind of slid into that number 2 spot behind a very average Michael Crabtree in Oakland. He really wasn't doing much his last year in Oakland.
Anybody in Oakland could slide, because that place, I mean, it's just it's a circus.
It was a mess there.
I think you could lose your passion for football.
Yeah, that's where football players go to die.
Yes, exactly.
With Derek Carr.
It used to be Cleveland. Now it's the Raiders.
I know it was Gruden. And
by the way, I am like the other caller. I am a diehard Steeler fan. And again, the Rocky Flyer story out this week has been just wonderful, reliving my youth. It was the first book I ever read, Fighting Back, the first movie I ever saw. And if you guys get a chance to watch it on ESPN, it's an amazing story. I have his Notre Dame signed, autographed Notre Dame college national championship jersey hanging in the houndstooth. And I wear the Blyer jersey on Sunday. So it's I think that Antonio Brown.
So what do you think about Brown and about Tomlin? Weigh in on the whole Steelers situation.
Oh, number one, to compare Tomlin to Chuck Noll is almost like it's the most ridiculous comparison. To say Mike Tomlin's a better coach than Chuck Noll, I mean, 4 rings to 1. I mean, let's not be crazy here. Chuck Noll was a legend. He's a legend. I don't even think you compare the two. Those Steelers defenses were the number 1 or number 2 ranked defense of all time. I think they were number 1. Some people put Chicago in '85 or Baltimore. The years that they had the good defenses, or Tampa's defense that few years they had the run. But there's the Steel Curtain and Jack Ham and Jack Lambert, Donnie Shell. I mean, Mel Blount is the rookie. Mel Blount changed football. He's the reason they have the Chuck roll, because he was so dominant as a defensive back. So I mean, though you to even compare Mike Tomlin. Look, Mike Tomlin's a good coach, but he's not Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll's a legend. I think the Steelers are addition by subtraction. Antonio Brown is I think everyone will agree, is probably one of the top 2 talented receivers in the entire National Football League. But he's a cancer, and I think right now that the Pittsburgh management is sits back there laughing, going, "Told you so." I think at the end of the day, Juju Smith is showing up, and we see. Was it really Antonio Brown that good, or did Ben Roethlisberger have a lot to do with that? Because you saw Juju Smith, who was not really that heralded coming out of USC, and what he's turned into. So I think that Ben Roethlisberger does not get a lot of the credit, and I think another name you'll hear this year because of Ben Roethlisberger is Vance McDonald, who's all of a sudden you're going to see turn into a top-tier tight end. I think that sometimes everyone gives Antonio Brown too much credit, and Ben Roethlisberger not enough. I think we're going to find out this year, who was right and who was wrong. Well, I think now the Browns got to go play with David Carr, and Roethlisberger has his new, and again, Johnson, my favorite rookie, who is donating again his touchdown checks to charity, which is very, 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 very honorable. I think, again, Pittsburgh is... A lot of people wrote Pittsburgh off for Cleveland, and I don't think so. I think Pittsburgh's going to be back. I think Devin Bush is going to be Rookie of the Year. I think that Pittsburgh's in really good shape.
Well, Charlie, I look at Antonio Brown, and, being a Giants fan, at least Antonio Brown produced, unlike Odell Beckham. You look at Antonio Brown, he's probably a first ballot. I think he is a first ballot Hall of Fame player. And what changed? I mean, this is a young kid. This was a kid out of Central Michigan that was a 6th-round pick. And he seemed to be a very quiet guy. When did he really start to kind of feel himself, to get that kind of ego that Bruce Arians was talking about? And as a Steeler fan, do you still love Antonio Brown? Because I think he's the best receiver in franchise history. I really do.
Well, you don't remember Stallworth?
He definitely has more talent than Stallworth and Swan.
They probably are the best statistics.
Stallworth and Swan. I still got to go with those guys, and I'm not a Steelers fan.
That's because they won the Super Bowl.
He definitely has more talent than Stallworth and Swan, but he wasn't a winner. like Stallworth and Swan was. They were winners. That whole team was a bunch of winners. And Antonio Brown, unfortunately, is turning into a me guy. He started believing his own hype. And look, with social media these days, I guess it's a lot easier to do that.
He could have been a winner, and he did win playoff games for the Steelers. He did.
But
But
Antonio Brown was not the reason they won the playoff games. Antonio Brown was a cog, and Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, again, he was a part of it, but
he had the game-winning catch against the Chiefs in that division.
Yeah, but you're not. But why did they just discard him? As talented as he was, they said enough, and they finally it was enough. And at the end of the day, he didn't show up. Look, what kind of attitude is it when the last game of the year last year he didn't show up? Have you ever heard of that? Of anybody in the NFL just not show up for a game?
He actually brawled a guy in practice too. He got suspended from that team. So he was to the point of no return.
So Charlie, and I agree with you, and I think we're on the same page here. It's a system thing for Pittsburgh. You're getting guys who are coming in 4th, 5th, 6th round who have talent, and they're able to make that talent, I guess, blossom, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And then I think Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell both started to smell themselves, and then found out they're going to probably find out the hard way. Both one going to the Jets, and the other one going to the Raiders.
Salts. You see the smelling salts?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Big Ben, but my thing is with him is, I think, and I also agree with you. Everybody's high on Cleveland. I do not think Cleveland's maybe 8-8, not be the best record they've had in forever. But
I mean, let's face it. Ben Roethlisberger statistically had his best year last year, one of his best years. So that's without Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. For most of the year.
So my point is, no
one's New England with plug and play. You can put anyone in New England's lineup, and they're all going to be fine. I mean, they have a lacrosse guy playing wide receiver. But at the end of the day, your Steelers are not. I wouldn't put them on that level ever, but they're probably on that second tier.
Yeah. Charlie, I wanted to ask you about today. Baker Mayfield again came at Daniel Jones. Do you think the Cleveland Browns, you've known a lot of Browns fans, and I actually think the diehard Browns fans are some of the best fans in the entire NFL, coming back from Art Modell, still going to all the games with all the futility. I feel that the Browns now are a bandwagon team that is a really unlikable free agent team with Baker Mayfield, and I used to like Baker Mayfield. Do you hate the Browns as much as I do with Baker, Odell, and all this media attention?
Well, I hated the Browns because as being a Steeler fan, we hate the Browns anyway. But aside from that, I think Baker Mayfield, unfortunately, is another guy who is starting to believe his own hype before he's ever done anything. And I think it's a very scary situation. It's one thing to be brash and confident. It's another thing to be cocky and kind of a jerk. And some of the things he said, especially about Daniel Jones, are so far over the top for somebody who's never done anything.
That. There's no reason he should be saying that again. The guy's not even in his division, and he's taking a shot at a rookie who's kind of a defenseless rookie.
And he's a second year, and Baker hasn't done anything.
And the Browns haven't done anything for a while either.
And Baker's. When have you ever seen another NFL?
I've never seen a quarterback take on another quarterback like that. That's unusual. It's supposed to be a fraternity, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to say Baker's Johnny Manziel, but he is just so arrogant right now.
Well, and the way that he said it about himself in that comment, when he said, even I said I was shocked that I was picked number one. Like, it was almost like another dig when he said it. It was just such a condescending way to try to explain himself. It was so hollow. And I can't wait for them to line up. They line up early in the season, so I can't wait for them to line up. And again, I am, which I think I've told you guys about before. This Devin Bush is a special player. I think he's going to come out, and I think he's obviously going to be a day one starter. But I think aside from that, I think he's going to turn a lot of heads. He'll be a Pro Bowl's first year player, and I think that the Steelers again are even. I don't want to say they're more talent than they have in the last couple of years, but I think that I think they're going to be just fine, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs again this year, and we'll see what happens.
Charlie, you look at T.J. Watt is a great player. The corners need to step up for the Steelers to win the North. Your cornerback play has never been good in a while. And
in a long time. I mean, look, they were known for their cornerbacks, before you were born. I mean, with Donnie Shell and Blunt, and way back in the day, that Steel Curtain had no weaknesses. And then and then you go to the days of the defensive backs like Ron Woodson and Troy Polamalu. I mean, they have a lot of Hall of Famers back there.
Is he a Hall Famer yet? He should be.
Palomalo?
Yes.
I think he's eligible. I think he's eligible next year.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, he's a first ballot. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer all day.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
I agree with you. I think, and people are high on Baker Mayfield. People talking fantasy, people talking just NFL. I am not sold on Baker Mayfield. I have not jumped on this Baker Mayfield train. I think he has the tools. He's got the talent to do what he needs to do to be an elite quarterback. But when you're out there picking fights with a rookie quarterback who hasn't played and most likely will play, because I don't see Eli lasting the full season. But normally, if Eli stays healthy, he will not play. And on top of it, then he's also picking fights with Colin Cowherd and just really.
Petty, there's middle school stuff.
Yeah, there's immaturity. Like Antonio Brown, he's straight crazy.
He is. Yeah. To do the second helmet appeal. What do you? That even surprised me, Charlie. Did that second helmet appeal? Did that surprise you?
Wait, what surprised you? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The second helmet appeal from AB.
Yeah,
I mean that was a little crazy. Even for him, that was crazy
because he's hurting his teammates. I mean, David Carr's on a career year. He has no more money coming to him after this year. So I'm sure David Carr is like, wait a minute, dude, get in here. Like, I'm either going to have a huge extension or I'm going to be out on the street. And you're not helping me being out here. I think it's a complete disrespect to his teammates, and I applaud Mike Mayock for calling him out in public, saying, look, you're either with us or against us, and you better figure it out now. And, of course, he was in the next day. So I think that, again, look, I think Gruden's one of the most overrated coaches in the history of football. I think we're going to find that out again, that, he's going to get rid of Carr. I think everybody knows that. He just loves discarding quarterbacks. And I think that he's going to get rid of Carr no matter what Carr does. Hey, look, if you're going to extend Carr, you do it before the season, and they have given him no indications they're going to keep him. So I think Gruden again is we're going to find out. Look, Gruden did. He had a really good team when he won the Super Bowl, but if you look at his other years, he had a lot of mediocre years as well. So I'm not as high on John Gruden as everyone else is.
I'm not really either. Gruden was handed a good team. Let's be honest.
Yes.
He didn't build that team. He
was handed a defense.
He was handed a really good team. I'll give him credit. I'm not going to take anything totally away from him.
And guess what?
But also, my thing is I mean, they have picks coming up. They still have more picks to spend. And unless they win the Super Bowl or come really damn close to winning the Super Bowl this year, I agree with you. I think Carr's gone, and he's going to try to get somebody young for the future for when they go into Vegas.
It's Oakland. It's the Oakland Raiders.
Vegas.
It's going to be Vegas next year.
But it's the Raiders. They haven't done anything in 20 years since John Gruden was there, okay? Yeah. So the point is, Oakland doesn't have a big bar to cross, even if they make the playoffs. And to call Gruden one of the most overrated coaches, Rich Gannon didn't do anything before he had John Gruden. I mean, John Gruden made Rich Gannon's career, so I'm excited for John Gruden. And I think he's
there's
a good,
a lot of
I think he's a
subpar
good
quarterbacks
coach.
who have won Super Bowls,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Gruden's a good
Grossman.
coach.
That's all I got to say.
Well, Gruden's a good coach. He's not. He has to see if he's a great coach, and he definitely has a challenge. He's one of the most likable coaches ever. Bruce, you watched Hard Knocks. I just like his personality, so I hope.
Well, I recommend everybody
He's
sees.
a brand.
And I told you, John, the Hard Knocks. He is the most entertaining person to watch at Hard Knocks. Every word that comes out of his mouth is entertaining. Now, again, you're as good as your team. The Raiders have a lot of holes. They've been terrible the last few years.
20 years.
And you look at the players they're focusing in on. There's not when AB's not there. You're looking rookies, and it's a real stretch to find anybody who's a player.
Yeah, and I took Josh
Jacobs has been impressive.
Yeah, I took Jacobs, Charlie, in fantasy. I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, he's been impressive, and he's going to get the ball, too. 20, 25 times a game. He's going to get the ball for sure.
Hey, Charlie, it's I want to thank you so much for calling in. And next week, we're all in the college football, man. We got Miami, Florida.
Week 0, baby. Week 0. Look for the picks coming out. You got 2 games on Saturday. Could be a big upset to start the year. You'll hear about it on Thursday night. I'll get in touch.
And everybody like it for Charlie's picks. This guy is the best. His whole house in Ambler was built by gambling winnings.
Yeah, it is. It was, and the Houndstooth is open for business on Saturday. Everyone is always welcome.
The Houndstooth.
All right, Charlie, thanks, brother.
Thanks for calling.
Here's my problem with Oakland.
The Oakland Raiders.
And actually my problem with Gruden. Gruden is a brand who outshines his entire team. That should never happen. The coach should never outshine your entire team. I mean, I've heard things that he has not just for the Hard Knocks, but he has people who follow him around and record his pressers, who record everything for his brand. That's a problem. I think that's going to hold Oakland. I think he maybe at one point will be able to be get to maybe a little playoff love now and then, kind of like Cleveland, make him semi-relevant, but never get him to the promised land. And I really think Oakland made a big mistake signing him for 10 years.
I don't think so, because you look at that owner there, Mark Davis, and they don't have the late Al Davis, which was a very good owner. They don't have him anymore. And I look at John Gruden, and you have Del Rio, you had Tom Cable.
Listen, I'm not saying they didn't have some bad coaches. But I think you went from one wrong to a different wrong.
Well, the thing is, Al, I don't, and I'm going to ask John this question too. I just disagree with and I don't think we'll ever know this answer, but I actually think Gruden is a player's coach, and I actually think the players love John Gruden. So I kind of disagree with Al. What do you think?
I think so too. The only thing I have when they signed him is the first question I asked when they first signed him, and he brought on, I'm saying, what kind of team is he going to bring in his people and jettison everyone? Or because you always got to be careful when a guy comes in to have his guys, is it going to work? And you always got to be careful because, you got rid of some Khalil Mack. You got rid of Amari Cooper. Now next I see is David Carr. You know how we're talking about the Cowboys' next quarterback? That could be David Carr for all you know.
Yeah.
Who knows? My thing is I'm always nervous because as Eagles fans, you remember Chip Kelly bringing in his team.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
That was really fool's gold. But I look at it from
you make a good point.
But if I look at it as an owner's standpoint, if I'm moving to a place like Las Vegas, which is kind of by definition a transient place,
and it's barren,
transient place, the fact that you have Gruden there, for 10 years, he is a brand and he is interesting. And there's nothing worse than being irrelevant. Certainly, we've seen plenty of Phillies teams. The Flyers have been irrelevant since the mid '70s, really, with some flashes here and there.
Sure.
So I think that's a calculated risk.
Right.
But
I think he's in for a world of hurt because running a football team in Vegas, let that settle in. That's like running a daycare in a pixie stick factory. Like something is not gonna. I just see you hear things like Zeke's out in Cabo or whatever he's at. They don't have to go very far to get themselves into some trouble. The Bunny Ranch is only 30 minutes away.
It's going to be a good home field advantage for the teams that are undisciplined.
Yeah.
But that's the point about Oakland is that it's not like a Pittsburgh or like a Giants or like a very rigid culture. And Gruden, he's a lifelong Raider. Gruden even invites the old Raiders back. He's one of their own. He brings Raider Nation back together.
Maybe he'll bring John Madden in.
And I think that Mike Mayock, Bruce, I think Mayock and Gruden, the Chip Kelly point's a very good point about how he needs his guys, the Khalil Mack trade. Khalil Mack's still very good. I know they got back 2 first-round picks, and they tried to pay Mack, but the thing that's good about Gruden, why you could be optimistic, is Chip was more of running this crazy college modern offense. At least John Gruden is a throwback pro-style coach. That's going to be a physical kind of a coach.
That is one plus in his category in that sense, yes.
Yeah, it's wait and see. He was terrible last year.
See, yeah. Chip Kelly...
the whole team was terrible. I don't think anybody could have won with that personnel group last year.
Chip Kelly thought he was the smartest man in the room at all times. Yep. And Chip Kelly thought... he kind of like Baker Mayfield. He just doesn't think before he does or speaks or does anything. And I thought he just figured, all right, well, you don't want to play for me, fine, I'll put you in, and I can plug and play. It's my system that's going to make you awesome.
Right.
Your talents, your football IQ means squat diddly at this point.
He wasn't ready because he didn't face any adversity. He was a god at Oregon. He was incredible, though.
He had 100 players.
That's part of the
but
problem.
Imagine this:
he was one of the best college coaches ever.
You had guys that were 18 to 21. You controlled everything. It was like a communist society.
There.
He was a dictator. He controlled their sleep. He controlled their diet, their smoothies.
Remember
what are you trying doing that to Jason Peters?
Yeah.
That didn't work too well. Jason Peters likes to eat a little more than a smoothie, you know?
But, John, I wanted to ask you in the panel, when Chip Kelly was hired, what was your reaction when you saw that news?
I basically asked, at first I was like, and then I asked, wait, it's a college coach coming in. What is he going to do?
Wait, you weren't euphoric? Because I'd say this town was 90% euphoric. And when you saw that Monday night game against the Redskins, you thought
At
euphoric.
first, I was like, whoa, okay. Then I thought, wait a minute. Here's a college coach coming in. What's his demeanor going to be? How are guys like Deshaun Jackson, guys like LaShawn McCoy, who weren't bad guys, but these are strong personalities, guy like Michael Vick, how are they going to react to this guy? Because you hear stories coming out of Oregon about how he is, his regimen, what he does, his methods. Is he going to bring that in, and is everyone going to embrace it? Because college coaches who came from college right into pros, you see the track records, not always the best.
You're absolutely right.
Right? Greg Schiano
flamed
out, or
Saban.
Saban
Actually, his team invited him for a birthday party. They actually had a strip club in the locker room, and Saban just walked out of that room. He was just horrified.
Yeah.
So that's Nick Saban going to Miami, which was just.
And I'll answer just kind of like he said. I'll be honest. I'll be dead honest with you. I drank the Kool-Aid pretty quickly, and because you know why? It was more I needed a change. We were
so tired of Andy Reid.
We were tired of Andy Reid.
I was so tired of him for 13 years.
Oh,
and
poor
again,
baby, 11-5, 12-4.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Year.
Listen,
you had the most successful coach ever in Eagles history.
You had two Super Bowl teams, so you can't talk.
I know.
Your team won every year and kept on losing in the NFC Championship.
I was joking with you. He was great for 14 years. He was very successful. I was kidding with you.
He was very successful, but like Doc just pointed out here, you could bring me to 13 years, bring me to 13 NFC Championship games. And you know what that does for me?
Nothing.
Not a thing. I am here to win.
Yeah,
listen, you're like, ooh, okay, I got the first one. Oh, we're almost there. We're a key player 2 away. We'll get him next year. Do that for 13 years, man.
You destroyed people.
Yeah, and even he needed a change. Andy Reid needed a change. As much as the city of Philadelphia, the fan base of the Eagles, needed a change. And yes, Chip Kelly was the sexy pick at the time. He was the one that everybody wanted, everybody was going after, and he chose Philly. So yes, we finally got chose because Philly always seems to take a second or third seat behind everybody. So yeah, I drank that Kool-Aid. I swished it around in my mouth, and I spit it up in the air, and I drank it again. That's how much I drank the Kool-Aid. And believe me, yes, game 1, here he comes. He makes the Redskins look a fool, and forgetting it's the Redskins.
Yes, of course.
But yes, I fell for it, and I'm like, okay, it's different. It's a change. I'm happy to see this. It's new blood. And then I found out. Then I after it all settled in, now you see okay, you're gonna have your offensive line on the field 90% of the game. That's not good. No, but I don't care how good you are. If you're
and
Jason
he says
Peters
time of
across the
possession
board,
doesn't matter. And
yeah,
also,
when he said that, that's when I spit the Kool-Aid back out and left it out.
You know what I remember?
That moment, that time, that's my eye.
I remember we went. Ray Ellis, who's a great friend and who's a classic Eagle, who played with Vermeil. I went to a Dallas game with Chip Kelly, and Ray is a safety, strong safety, and he said the Eagles only have 4 plays. He lives in Arizona, and yet they set up the cards and they do all this funny stuff. He goes, there's only 4 plays, and sure enough, that's what it was. That offense.
You remember the first half? Remember the pack? The paper?
Remember the first half against the Cowboys at home? That they scored they had 3 yards total.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end of Chip Kelly. If you remember that,
They
were just terrible. He just kept on going downhill.
He had his play card that said S8 on the back.
The league would
because they used to make the joke that he only had 8 plays, and think about it, he did 4 plays, 1 to the left, 1 to the switch to the right. He literally had
even
that joke.
They caught on
the corner of the Redskins.
Norman.
Yeah, Josh Norman even said that he knew the plays, he knew the cards, and he even came out after the game and said, "We knew exactly what was coming, and you saw that, and it was a disaster." So now Chip's in UCLA still.
Yeah, he's
I guess.
And you got to learn that it was more than him just being inept to be in a pro style format. It was more.
He was stubborn as hell.
He was stubborn. Apparently, he was very wishy-washy with the owner. You don't do that to your boss. Could you imagine if I did that? That way with somebody?
Do you think he treated Howie well? He stuffed him in a closet.
No.
He actually made him carry jock straps.
But hold on. do we have, as Eagles fans in the room, do we have to thank Chip Kelly? Chip Kelly, he was just the perfect amount of screw up. There wasn't enough that if he made that Marcus Mariota trade, we would have been hosed. I mean, there was Fletcher Cox.
We would have given up 10 first-round picks.
Jason Peters was in it. We would still be getting Tennessee. Would still be getting our first-round picks to this day. I mean, we would be giving up some big names. He would have traded his grandmother to get Marcus Mariota in there. I mean,
he would have. That's how much he loved him.
But listen, I'm not all upset about LaShawn McCoy. There's a lot of issues back and forth. I wish we kept him around, but whatever. Deshaun Jackson, that really, once again, I wasn't totally upset at the beginning. I'm like, okay, he's not a guy in the system, and he needs to change him. I get it, but now I'm definitely not okay with it. But he did enough that forced. I mean, have you ever seen Jeff Lurie coming out and firing a guy at the end of this? Now, why couldn't he let him wait one more game and let him go? No.
Because he hated
wanted him out.
That's how much Jeff Lurie's
Chip Kelly,
he
made him not. He canceled Jeff Lurie's Christmas party.
Yeah.
You don't do that to an owner.
No.
That got him fired.
Jeff Lurie was never a guy you talked about a lot, to be honest. Prior to Chip Kelly signing, how often did you bring up Jeff Lurie?
Never. He was totally invisible.
Most people didn't know who he was. Now, he literally just jolted that team to winning. He helped Howie, I think, in some ways, revamp himself. Because think before Chip Kelly, would you say in Howie you trust? You
never would say that.
How many times have you heard people on sports radio around here go, well, if Howie thinks it's a good idea, I'm good with it.
You hear that all the time now. Don't you hear that all the time now?
I have blind faith to Howie. Yeah. I could tell you I was one of those guys going, he's got to go. He doesn't know good talent.
After the Dream Team saga.
Yes.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's when everyone's like, Howie's got to go. Howie's got to go.
But I'm going to have to give Chip Kelly's BS gave life to this Eagles.
Yeah.
He screwed up just enough to make the Eagles actually better. I mean, think about it. How long after Chip Kelly left did we actually win a Super Bowl?
Pretty shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So he did keep some quality. Listen, he did keep character players. Now, again, the guys he got rid of,
he tried
admittedly, he tried to get rid of everybody who wasn't a choir boy. And, he made, with Deshaun Jackson, like he was L.A. gangs.
The team was different.
Deshaun Jackson hasn't done anything at all.
The team was different. I'm trying to think of.
But the fact that Peterson came in,
he drafted Marcus
was a perfect
Smith.
Storm. But
he drafted Marcus Smith in the first round.
Right. Well, Marcus Smith was terrible.
He drafted Lane Johnson. That was the pick.
You're right. But who else? He drafted Aguilar, who's okay.
Well, Aguilar ended up being better.
He got resurrected.
Yeah, and that wasn't because of Chip Kelly.
Did Chip draft Foles, or was that before?
Yeah, Foles was before.
No,
Foles was
Andy
Reid.
Here before. He had Foles when he came in. Oh, no, he had Vic when he came in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no,
Foles.
actually.
Was Foles with Andy Reid? Do we have a caller?
He drafted any cornerbacks.
Think we have a caller?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Welcome into Rover Sports.
Hello?
Yes, hi, welcome.
Oh, hey. I would like to talk. Oh, my name is Justin, and I would like to talk about the whole spewy bullshit about the Baker Mayfield and
could you call
OBJ situation.
Oh, go right ahead.
Go ahead, Justin.
We are still on the internet, so continue.
My God. Baker Mayfield. Now, Giants fans are just overreacting to this. Baker Mayfield did not trash Daniel Jones. He did not in no way, shape, or form trash Daniel Jones. I'm sorry, but he did not do that.
Well, Justin, he said that he was appalled that the Giants selected Daniel Jones at number 6. He said he was shocked. He said that he shouldn't have been taken at number 6. He questioned the man being selected in the first round. That's the definition of taking a shot. If you said, why is Rover Sports on YouTube right now? Why do they have that platform? Why are they selected for this timestamp? That's you saying that you're not qualified to be in that position. And he said that Daniel Jones was not qualified to be the 6th overall draft pick. That's not Baker Mayfield. That's not an endorsement. That is absolutely Baker Mayfield questioning Daniel Jones. And then he said right after, Daniel Jones is not a winner, and sometimes NFL teams don't know what they're doing. That's a direct shot at the New York Giants.
Yes, that is somewhat of a direct shot, but it's not a fully direct shot at Daniel Jones. The Giants fans were even saying that at the time of the pick. Look who was on the board. Josh Allen was on the freaking board. Go back in time. Do Giants fans make that pick again of Daniel Jones? No.
No, I know.
Justin,
They go with Josh Allen.
Justin,
Because everybody in their freaking mother knew that the Giants needed defense. We could have easily gotten Jones at 17.
so Justin, are you a Giants fan?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure. In the beginning, I kind of thought you were, and then I thought you fell off.
So I have a question, Justin. Do you believe, as Spencer does, that Eli will play the whole year? And as a fan, do you want him to play the whole year? What are your thoughts on that?
There's some part of me that knows this is Eli's last year with us. So there's some part of me that I know that Eli's playing the whole year. Do I want to? Maybe. But with John Mara's comments, those are literally Eli Manning is having a retirement tour comments easily. I'm like, you don't want Daniel Jones seeing the field at all? Yeah, that's retirement tour. Easily.
Hey, Justin.
Watch.
You've watched.
You will literally... No, this is a bold prediction. You will see after training camp, because Giants fans will freak out if it's announced now. Week 1, you will literally see the Giants give a farewell tour... Well, not a retirement, because he said he wanted to play another year, but a farewell tour to Eli Manning until week... What's the Giants game? Week 15 or week 16?
The Jets game?
The Jets game?
Or what are you talking? What
No,
last
the
game?
Dolphins
the Eagles
game.
Oh, the Dolphins.
Dolphins, I mean.
It's like 11 or 12. It's the middle of the year.
No, I think we play them. Wait, it's Redskins, Eagles. We'll have Eagles and Redskins. Those last 2 games of Daniel Jones, and then Dolphins are week 15. That week 15 game, you will see Eli Manning having a Derek Jeter-esque goodbye.
We think that
You will see
the
that.
Dolphins are going to let him win.
So, Justin, I'm an Eagles fan. I admit it. We're here in Philly. Our show's based in Philly. I've been watching Daniel Jones, and I watch the other rookies. He looks poised. He says the right things. He's got good footwork. Is he better than you thought he would be, at least to start, honestly, or what do you think?
Oh, hell yeah. Holy shit, that precision. The precision on his throws. I cannot say enough good things. I ran out of superlatives week 1 of his freaking arm. I'm like, this is Peyton Manning precision arm. I'm like, thank God he didn't give Eli's arm. I'm like, okay, he got Peyton's arm.
So somehow
Apparently
genetically, was he
the Manning
genetically
brothers, he got
engineered?
Peyton.
He got
All right,
Peyton's
that works.
arms. Okay.
So he's got here.
Peyton didn't have the
apparently,
biggest arm. But
apparently, he's got
Peyton
Peyton's
had
arm in
smarts.
Eli's face.
Right. He got before the
No,
neck injury.
look, between Eli and Peyton, who has the better arm? Peyton.
Yeah.
I think
I'll
it's
agree
close.
with you.
No, I don't think
Pre-neck
Peyton has the
injury.
biggest arm.
Definitely pre-neck injury.
yeah.
But
It's
close.
after,
It's close, but
after
Eli has a
spinal cord
strong arm.
injury, I'll take
I'm
Eli.
not saying Eli doesn't have a strong arm, but
Eli has a strong
overall,
arm.
Peyton has a better arm.
No, it's Peyton's mind that makes him one of the best players ever.
Okay, and maybe his laser rocket
Yeah,
arm, but let's not
and
get caught up in the deal.
Peyton has better accuracy than Eli.
Oh, of course. But you're talking about Peyton Manning, who's like a top 3 quarterback of all time. Eli Manning's still a good quarterback. I still loved having Eli with the Giants. Still love having him here.
Yeah, because he won
Yes,
2
and
Super Bowls.
Eli,
It's called
and literally, I've been the one to say for 2 years, move on, and he's the only quarterback that I've ever known.
Yeah,
I was saying it for 2 years,
but now,
but Giants fans are saying now.
Well, the Giants also have a much better. It's not just you can't just look at a player in football in a vacuum, because you have to look at the offensive line, the receivers, the people around you, the coaching staff. And now it's a different coaching staff. It's different people around you. Football's a game you can't just look in a vacuum. But I always love, Justin, when you call in, man. You bring a lot of energy to the show.
Oh.
Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. So,
Justin always brings...
he brings a lot of action. He brings a lot
I
of
love
action.
him. I love him. I'm
He
inviting him to
brought
my
a lot
next
of
Christmas
juice,
party.
you know. He brought a lot of juice here. So Lisa from Reading, one of our favorite callers, just as we wind this thing down, as we look at rookie quarterbacks, how do we evaluate them so far? How are we predicting they're going to do? Kyler Murray started off with a great game, threw a stinker at you. Looking around here, the Redskins, who are they going to be starting now? Who are the Redskins going to be playing?
Cole McCoy's not going to be able to play.
Cole McCoy's going to be out, they announced, for about 3 games. Still not right, still not recovered from injury. You know that.
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be Case Keenum. That's going to be.
I think it's going to be Case Keenum.
I think they announced it, didn't they? Didn't they announce Case Keenum?
Okay, so
Case Keenum. The Redskins, I don't think they're going to trot out Haskins for the first game. They're going to let him sit. So I think it's Case Keenum.
So if you're a betting man, over or under, when's Haskins being rolled out by the Skids? What do you think?
Maybe like 8 or 9, or when do you think?
I think mid-season.
Mid-season.
Okay. Mid-season.
You guys are going with mid-season.
Again, depends on if someone
Injury,
gets hurt.
Injury and all
It
that.
all depends who gets hurt.
Case Keenum can do what he did in Minnesota 2017. I'd say mid to late season's fair. If Case Keenum comes out flat, I give him 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I give him October.
Probably 5 weeks. And also Jay Gruden, though, if Jay Gruden wants to stay another year, he should roll Haskins out really late. Because then if Haskins has like 3 good games, you could say, hey, look, I know this guy.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Gruden. I think you're right. I think Gruden's on the bubble. Any other coaches?
Totally. He hasn't won a playoff
I don't think.
What other coaches do you see are on the bubble
on the
to
bubble?
start the season? Let's just go around the league.
I'm going to go
really quickly.
I'm going to surprise you with a couple of guys. I think that Ron Rivera's a little bit on the bubble. I really think that he hasn't won a lot of playoff games. He fired his D coordinator.
That's a fair.
With that crazy quarterback.
I agree.
I think
I can't stand him.
This is a guy that has a lot of. This is a temperamental coach that is very up and down. But I think Bill O'Brien, I'm curious to see what he's going to do.
I would even say if he just didn't hire him, Adam Gase, I don't see him lasting long in NFL.
Well, Darnold's doing great though in the preseason.
Yeah, but is that Adam Gase? Oh, come on, man. I mean,
preseason
means nothing.
Have you heard about? Let me tell you 3 funny things about Adam Gase.
Just 3.
He orders pizza every single night from the same exact pizza place. Same exact pepper. And when the place went out of business, he told them that you still have to cook pizza for me. Here's the second funny thing about Gase.
Nobody knew that one.
He has. Well, this is you were talking about the Athletic article.
Yeah.
He has 2 rooms in his house that are just for notebooks. So he's a psychopath. He writes notes every day in his life.
You just confirmed it for me. But
2 rooms just for notebooks?
Yeah, the other room.
Even my English teacher didn't have that.
He writes notes on every single day. He writes notes on every single day of his life. He watches film maybe 16 hours a day in a dark room all by himself. And this is the craziest
Football film, right?
When his wife was having like a C-section and having the child, which I don't know about like pregnancies. Don't look at John. He's worried. His eyes are worried with me going to pregnancy.
This is the one we're going with this one.
No. He said to his wife, this is the quote.
Should I have my finger on the dump button?
After the baby, you good? And then he sprinted to his car and raced Peyton Manning back to the facility by 2 o'clock. And Peyton's like, didn't you just have a kid? And
Were they watching film all night after he had his kid immediately after the C-section?
He's like, I'm not letting you win.
He probably kept the kid up. Probably kept the kid in his hands, like, watch football. Like, yeah. No,
the guy is crazy. He's a smart coach, but he's just nuts.
Everything you just told me, I would not need physical proof. I believe that 110%. I believe that before you told me.
Did you see the smelling salts? How about the eyes of Gase?
He gives himself smelling salts at the beginning of the game.
I like it.
Just jazz him up.
Is that amazing? Have you ever seen that? You're a football guy, Al. You've never seen that?
Going,
yeah, like he gets himself going. He downs 5
No.
or something.
Don't do that in tennis.
I have not done that in tennis.
Double faulting a lot.
You'll be Gase for the first days for the first, let's say, 2-3 games for all you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean,
that is very believable, by the way.
What do you think of Gase when I talk about Gase?
Gase, I think it seems like now that I heard what you say, I think he's a very intense guy now. I still have a question about that offensive line for the Jets.
What do you think, Spence? Talk about the offensive line.
I think it's a
he has a room in his house just for them.
I think that even that defensive line doesn't strike fear. I mean, you have the Patriots, you have
Buffalo,
Dolphins, you have Buffalo, who knows what Buffalo's going to do? Who knows what Buffalo team's going to show up?
Buffalo will win the preseason. They'll win the preseason Super Bowl. for all that matters.
They have Matt Barkley, Josh. I think Allen and Darnold, though. Do you see Darnold progressing, though?
I honestly, that draft class of Darnold, it was Allen. Who else? Rosen,
Lamar, and
Mayfield, right? I see 2 out of the 5, who I think are going to be pretty good quarterbacks. I only saw Baker. I predicted Baker and Lamar. I don't see the other 3. Josh Allen doesn't strike fear. Rosen doesn't strike fear. Darnold's fumbled too many times at USC.
I agree with
He didn't strike fear in the hearts of anyone.
And how many great USC quarterbacks?
Carson Palmer, maybe, if you call him great.
I wouldn't
He
even
was
call him
good.
He's
Not
good.
a Hall of Famer.
The thing
Good.
about
Long
Darnold
career.
is that now Darnold has Gase, Gase can scheme. He is the ultimate schemer. Darnold has a quick release. You watched the Penn State Rose Bowl.
Yep.
After the Rose Bowl, I thought Darnold would be great. I was with you. I questioned his arm strength. I like Josh Allen. I actually will have like a bet with you. I think Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson. I worry about Lamar.
I think Lamar Jackson. I think he will be exposed by week 2.
And is he going to be?
There might be another guy in the bubble.
There we go. Or will he be
Another guy in the
injury-based,
bubble.
Do you think that Lamar can lead the Ravens to a playoff? Do you still believe in Jackson, though?
I think if schemed right, if a game plan is for him, himself isn't going to take the Ravens. He needs a little team around him, and he needs the right scheme. Just
He's going to be.
It's got to be a simple
You
scheme.
know that he's going to be like a running back.
See, there you go. How many quarterbacks?
John Harbaugh said he wants to make them to a
Is
run.
Lamar playing? Is he playing on Thursday night here at Philly? Or is he playing any
I would
snaps?
not play him, but he's gonna play.
He's doing red jersey. That's about it.
I think he's going to play in preseason.
I think. I mean, again, like he said. I mean, a lot of these quarterbacks, you can't make the offense complicated for them. They can't read the proper playbook.
From what I understand, Lamar's football IQ is like nil.
Well, yeah.
That's what I mean. Just like I don't think I think he's going to get exposed. I think he was a flash in the pan last year when he came in, breathed a little life into the Ravens, got him hot when it was very important. But I think there's enough film on him now that he will be exposed by anybody he goes up against.
Guess what? Josh Allen, I think he can win at least one Super Bowl, borderline Hall of Fame talent. Josh Allen.
Wow.
Last question.
Big time.
bold.
Last
player.
question.
Josh Allen.
Guy that you
Gotta
met,
get bold
guy
on
that
the
you
show.
met and interviewed,
Yes.
Drew Lock.
Yep.
You saw him for the Denver Broncos. Kind of impressive. Why don't you just tell? What do you think about Drew Lock?
Right. Did you watch that Broncos game last night? That game was. If you watch it, God bless you. That was boring.
I watched plays because I wanted to see Drew Lock more.
Yeah.
Because
So what do you think about Drew?
And you even you're an SEC kind of guy, so you watch him at Missouri. He always has that big arm. He's a nice kid. He's confident. This offense is just so confusing.
I mean,
think it's too complicated for him?
I have. It's so early to tell. I have a little bit of worry about Drew Lock, though. I do. Just like, can he scan the field? Can he make the throws necessary?
I mean, none of these like preseason games really shows. Like Kyler Murray, I don't know what you're getting with him. I don't know what I have with Drew Lock. You don't know what you have with him because there's no live game action. Everything is vanilla. Everything is.
I think
just
Drew
plain.
Lock
that
does have a
offensive
nice
line
arm.
is that backup
I mean,
offensive line
yeah.
is terrible.
Drew Lock showed that he had some poise, good footwork. He got blitzed a few times, got rid of the ball.
He does have the talent,
as far as you
Bruce.
can
He
tell.
has a big arm. He does have an arm.
And what was he like in person when you met him?
Drew Lock is just as you'd imagine. He's a very nice kid. He smiles a lot. He's a very engaging personality. You know, He did not act very arrogant to me, you know, which was very nice to see.
Surprising?
And, it's not surprising. Kyler Murray might have Kyler Murray might have 10 guys around him, you know, like with his dad, Kevin
Did
Murray.
anybody recognize him at the airport except for you?
I saw Kyler Murray, by the way, and Kyler Murray, he was ordering at Dunkin' Donuts, and the donut was up here. He was reaching up to the counter, and he couldn't reach. He needed someone to hand him the donuts that he ordered in the morning.
Is that true?
He was
Drew
too
Lock
short.
didn't have that problem?
No, Kyler Murray was too short to be allowed in the Dunkin' Donuts at the airport. I made that up.
I was
just
going
made that up.
to say,
I'm
there's a
kidding
height
with
restriction
you.
at the Dunkin' Donuts.
By the way, on that
kidding
note,
you.
I think it's great
What do
we
you
wrap
think
it up.
about Kyler
We had
Murray,
a ton of.
I'm rooting for the best for him.
Listen,
I am.
we had a ton of people in this watch party, Bruce Grossinger watch party.
Thanks for
If
the
you like what
callers,
you see,
too.
share it. And we're going to say, as always, good night and good sports.